the true story of the Koh-i-Noor diamond, and why the British won't give it back. The diamond came from India's alluvial mines thousands of years ago, sifted from the sand. The gem, which would come to be known as the Koh-i-Noor diamond, wove its way through Indian court intrigues before eventually ending up in the British crown jewels by the mid-1800s. That was when a British amateur geologist interviewed gemologists and historians on the diamond's origins and wrote the history of the Koh-i-Noor that served as the basis for most future stories of the diamond. In their new book Koh-i-Noor, The History of the World's Most Infamous Diamond, Anand and Dalrymple work their way through more than 4 centuries of Indian history to learn the truth about the diamond, panning the old research like the Indians who sieved river sand for diamonds, Anand says. But beneath the drama of the diamond is a more serious question that still has no clear answer: how should modern nations deal with a colonial legacy of looting? With numerous countries, including India, Pakistan and the Taliban in Afghanistan, having claimed ownership of the Koh-i-Noor, it's a topic under vigorous debate. To understand where the diamond came from, and whether it could ever go back, requires diving into the murky past, when India was ruled by outsiders, the Mughals. For centuries, India was the world's only source of diamonds, all the way until 1725, with the discovery of diamond mines in Brazil. Most of the gemstones were alluvial, meaning they could be sifted out of river sands, and rulers of the subcontinent embraced their role as the first diamond connoisseurs. In many ancient Indian courts, jewelry rather than clothing was the principal form of adornment and a visible sign of court hierarchy, with strict rules being laid down to establish which rank of courtier could wear which gem in which setting, Dalrymple and Anand write in their book. The world's oldest texts on gemology also come from India, and they include sophisticated classification systems for different kinds of stones. Turco-Mongol leader Zahiruddin Babur came from Central Asia through the Khyber Pass, located between modern-day Afghanistan and Pakistan, to invade India in 1526, establishing the Islamic Mughal dynasty and a new era of infatuation with gemstones. The Mughals would rule northern India for 330 years, expanding their territory across nearly all of present-day India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and eastern Afghanistan, all the while reveling in the mountains of gemstones they inherited and pillaged. Although it's impossible to know exactly where the Koh-i-Noor came from and when it first came into the Mughals' possession, there is a definite point at which it appears in the written record. In 1628, Mughal ruler Shah Jahan commissioned a magnificent, gemstone-encrusted throne. Shah Jahan's throne took 7 years to make, costing 4 times as much as the Taj Mahal, which was also under construction. Among the many precious stones that adorned the throne were 2 particularly enormous gems that would, in time, become the most valued of all: the Timur ruby, more highly valued by the Mughals because they preferred colored stones, and the Koh-i-Noor diamond. The diamond was lodged at the very top of the throne, in the head of a glistening gemstone peacock. For a century after the creation of the peacock throne, the Mughal Empire retained its supremacy in India and beyond. Nader left the city accompanied by so much gold and so many gems that the looted treasure required 700 elephants, 4,000 camels and 12,000 horses to pull it, and you thought all that fanfare in Aladdin was Disneyized embellishment. Nader took the peacock throne as part of his treasure, but removed the Timur ruby and the Koh-i-Noor diamond to wear on an armband. The Koh-i-Noor would remain away from India, in a country that would become Afghanistan, for 70 years. After decades of fighting, the diamond returned to India and came into the hands of Sikh ruler Ranjit Singh in 1813, whose particular affection for the gem ultimately sealed its aura of prestige and power. It was not just that Ranjit Singh liked diamonds and respected the stone's vast monetary value, the gem seems to have held a far greater symbolism for him, write Anand and Dalrymple. For Anand, Singh's elevation of the diamond was a major turning point in its history. The transition is startling when the diamond becomes a symbol of potency rather than beauty, Anand says. If they could own the jewel of India as well as the country itself, it would symbolize their power and colonial superiority. When the British learned of Ranjit Singh's death in 1839, and his plan to give the diamond and other jewels to a sect of Hindu priests, the British press exploded in outrage. Its author urged the British East India Company to do whatever they could to keep track of the Koh-i-Noor, so that it might ultimately be theirs. After Ranjit Singh's death in 1839, the Punjabi throne passed between 4 different rulers over 4 years. At the end of the violent period, the only people left in line for the throne were a young boy, Duleep Singh, and his mother, Rani Jindal. And in 1849, after imprisoning Jindal, the British forced Duleep to sign a legal document amending the Treaty of Lahore, that required Duleep to give away the Koh-i-Noor and all claim to sovereignty. The diamond came to its current place of honour in 1937, at the front of the crown worn by the Queen Mother, wife of George VI and mother of Elizabeth II. Still shrouded in myth and mystery, including a rumour that the diamond is cursed, one thing is clear when it comes to the Koh-i-Noor: it sparks plenty of controversy. And yet we've come to not say the same thing about Indian loot taken hundreds of years earlier, also at the point of a gun. According to Richard Curran, Smithsonian's first distinguished scholar and ambassador at large, as well as the author of Hope Diamond, The Legendary History of a Cursed Gem, part of the reason these gemstones came to be perceived as cursed is because of how they were gained. Like the Koh-i-Noor, the Hope Diamond came from India and was displayed at the London Exposition in 1851. And while Curran says uncovering the line of ownership of a gemstone like the Koh-i-Noor is best practice when it comes to history, it doesn't necessarily lead to a legal obligation, though other scholars and lawyers disagree. He and Dalrymple both point out that the rulers who once owned these gemstones headed nations that no longer exist. That's one of the biggest differences between objects taken during colonial conquest and art and treasure looted by Nazis: the difficulty in ascertaining who has the first and most legitimate claim to anything. But returning pillaged art and treasure from World War II, as complicated as that can be, is still far less complex than unraveling colonial history. The Koh-i-Noor isn't the only contested treasure currently residing in the UK. So far, the UK has retained ownership of the statues and the diamond, regardless of calls for their return. Anand thinks one solution that doesn't require removing the Koh-i-Noor from the UK is to make the history of the diamond clearer. The diamond isn't likely to leave the crown jewels anytime soon. Anand and Dalrymple only hope that their work will do some good by clarifying the true path the infamous gemstone followed, and helping leaders come to their own conclusions about what to do with it next.